go? All right. Then folks, I gotta tell you, I've known this guy ever since he was a little guy. A funny-looking little guy, really. Sweet, but still funny-looking little guy. Who's since matured into fine, talented, very smart, very insightful, very goal-oriented young man who I know you're going to enjoy very much this morning. Hogan Fritz.
Welcome. This is 2006. This is what music is like in 2006. This is what movies are like in 2006. This is what television is like in 2006. This is a car, a phone, and the president, all in 2006. And this is a 5th grader. He's lived in the same house, in the same neighborhood, going to the same school his entire life. But his life is about to change. This is Charles Darwin. He is not alive in 2006, but he was alive in 1838. And in 1838, Charles Darwin stated that in the struggle for survival, the fittest win out at the expense of their rivals because they succeed in adapting themselves best to their environment. Ergo, you snooze, you lose. And if one hopes to survive, they must constantly accommodate to the twists and turns that nature throws at them. In 2006, this premise is no different. And overcoming drastic changes is about to become one 5th grader's biggest problem. Welcome to Hogan Fritz's Capstone. Where do you think you're going?
Well, I was just gonna go, watch America's Next Top Model. Tyler's taking the girls to Zimbabwe this weekend.
I don't think so. You put this off long enough.
But I don't even
Sit!
Look, buddy, this could be a win-win situation, all right? You just let me go this one time, we can chill out and relax. There's a new episode of Project Runway screaming your name.
Well, I do love Heidi. But I swear to God, if she wears another one of those ugly, weird outfits again, I'm gonna... Wait. No, you're not turning this into another rant about Heidi Klum's clothes.
But come on, she's out of her mind. Last week she looked like Princess Jasmine meets a hooker.
Regardless, you have to perform your capstone. Today.
But I don't even know what to say.
Just start talking.
Okay, well, last week on Project Runway, in pajamas? She looked like, I don't even know. What is that?
No. Talk about adaptation.
Adaptation?
Adapting to your surroundings. You've gone to the school for 7 years. Surely some things have changed.
Well, sure. I used to look like this.
So talk about how you dealt with that.
Well, I got a haircut and I stopped running around with frosting in my hand.
Look, just start from the beginning.
The beginning? Okay.
Well, life wasn't always easy growing up as a stereotypical upper-middle-class suburban white child. I had been cocooned in a 3-mile radius for the first 10 years of my life. We only moved once to a house 3 blocks away, and I attended Raleigh Park Elementary for 5 years, gaining quite a solid reputation with my friends as those weird kids that hang out on the monkey bars. Life was good, and from such an early age that I can't remember when it began, I found love doing, you guessed it, theater. As most of you know, I'm quite a lover of getting attention. Naturally, this was the way I could do it and still scrape by being self-absorbed by calling myself an artist. When we reached the 5th grade and the time came for us to decide what to do next, of course I said, I want to go to the art school so I can grow up and be an artist. So I wrote the 2 essays, I did the interview, and when my day came to begin school at the Fancy Arts Academy, I found myself in a world so alien to everything I had ever believed up to that point, I didn't know what to do with myself.
Still changing, hold on. Well, I'll stay back here. So let me just start out by warning you that 6th grade was not exactly the prettiest time for me, so if any of you are not up for the horrific imagery that you're about to be subjected to, there are exits on your left and right and 2 directly behind you. Okay, so now where are we? All right. This is ACMA in 2006. This is what the students looked like. This is what the teachers looked like. And this is the attractive, mature, intelligent, young middle schooler that this 5th grader turned into. In elementary school, there was a 1 day a week where we would have art class, back then called art literacy, which today in 2012 has been cut because of budgeting. At ACMA, I had art class every day. In my first semester at ACMA, I had Ceramics 1, Art Essentials, Theater 1, and Intro to Dance. Half of my 8-period schedule, and enough to make me poop rainbows for weeks. Now, today, we're not as fortunate because of budgeting, but no matter an 8-period schedule, a 7-period schedule, or what have you, our school is one of the only ones left in the district to have so many of these art options, let alone some of these programs in curriculum. And back then, that was so exciting and so intimidating to me that I actually struggled to survive in this new environment. The first semester of 6th grade, I got a C in Ceramics 1, one of my art classes. Now, that wasn't too bad. I mean, I didn't fail anything, and granted, I wasn't very good at ceramics to begin with. You can ask Mr. Brandow, he remembers. But I realized that in this new colorful world of talented individuals and seemingly infinite opportunities, there is such a thing as too much art. Now, don't get me wrong, you should take advantage of every waking moment at this school and all it has to offer. But what I discovered was that if you get too caught up in all the little things that fly in and out of your immediate vision when you're this age, you can lose track of the ultimate goal at the end of the road and not be able to focus on what's really important to you. Now, I'm not talking about one specific distraction because it can vary depending upon who you are. For me, it was running through the halls with a tub of frosting in my hand, screaming like a maniac. Okay, so that only happened once, maybe twice. But what I discovered was that at an early age, I figured out that my biggest obstacle was going to be my friends and social life, who probably shouldn't have given me the frosting in the first place. Though, like I said, it can be different depending on who you are. Some people spend all their time in a textbook, perfectly regurgitating the information that the educational system here has taught you to do, and thus acing every test that comes your way. But when the time comes to graduate and you have no more regurgitating to do, you're lost. Some people sit at home, drinking beer and smoking weed all day until their brains become more mashed potato than human, and they fail out of school. Some people play nothing but video games day in and day out until you think that they would have been attached to a screen for so long that their fingers would fuse with the keyboard and they would become part human, part machine. But I digress. I'm not saying you shouldn't study. Tests are important. I mean, that's how you get to graduation in the first place. And I'm not saying you shouldn't play video games. I mean, if I didn't have Angry Birds, I probably wouldn't have survived lit class. Sorry, Mr. Robertson, but it's true. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't drink beer and smoke weed. I am saying that you shouldn't drink beer and smoke weed. But no matter what your nemesis is, whether it's studying or drinking or video games or even frosting, you can't let it get in the way of the thing out there that makes you happy. Whether it's art, which this school is so thankfully nurturing, or any number of things out there. You were born to do that one thing that makes you feel like you're useful. And for me, that thing was theater. Before the 6th grade, I had taken play labs and small classes and small little shows outside of the school. And my mom always used to say that I was acting and singing before I could even talk. I mean, I'm pretty sure I came out of the womb doing a finger puppet show. But before I was even in middle school, I had performed such breathtaking roles as the Goblin King. The resemblance is uncanny, I know. And the Sultan from Aladdin. Again, I was really lucky that we looked so similar. And an award ceremony presenter that beautifully forgot his lines in the middle of a show and had to make some up on the spot. Theater was my passion, and now that I got it integrated with school, I knew it was what I was meant to do. Now, I didn't audition for any of the plays my 6th grade year because I wanted to get a little more in sync with the school before I threw something else on top of it. I think that was a good decision, but at the beginning of my 2nd semester, I needed something to focus on, something to put all this ridiculous 6th grade energy into. And that was when I first discovered the One Act Festival. But even my experience in the caves of Middle-earth and the deserts of Agrabah didn't prepare me for the intimidation of the senior students that would be directing us. I mean, these guys were born in 1988. And they were giant. But this today, I know, is a common misconception. When you're in 6th grade and you look at all the other classes as scary entities just waiting to crush you like the tiny, awkward middle schoolers that you are, the older you get, the more of a threat you become. But the truth is, no matter what grade level, everyone is still growing and adapting to the challenges that every new year brings them. You 6th graders are no more a fish out of water than my friends and I are in the senior class. And granted, we're probably floundering in different ways, but we all learn together. As the only arts option school in the district, and probably the state, we are learning how to survive as artists, and even if you're not here for art, as people in general. For the 7, 6, or even 1 year that you may attend this school, you're part of an ever-growing community that is learning how to prepare you for the world outside in a way extremely unorthodox to thousands of other high schools in this country. And until you leave this school and move on to your next network, whether it's a university or a business or even the US Army, you're part of an ever-growing collective at this school, whether you like it or not. In the 6th grade, I was not this worldly wise, and still peed myself at the thought of the seniors. But lucky for me, I got Capstone in One Act, directed by then seniors Richard Static and Katie Poland. And since probably 5% of you know who those people actually are, they were not ones to be uptight, let's say, as evident by these photos. Our rehearsals for the play After Hours, a one-act about mannequins in a department store that suddenly come to life after the store closes, the rehearsals included sitting in the courtyard in the sun, eating Wendy's French fries, and casually running the show, always letting Katie borrow Zoe Sherman's galoshes. After the relaxed experience I had in the One Act, I loved theater at ACMA. So of course I auditioned for both of the 2 plays my 7th grade year. Needless to say, they were both quite different. In the fall, I was cast as a lifeguard in the new, strange adaptation of William Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing, directed by a Mr. David Sicking. From what I remember, the director was awesome, but other than that, I was completely and utterly confused. The show was set in a beach setting, transforming the roles of princes and princesses and other royalty and nobility into surfer dudes and bikini babes. Not to mention, it was Shakespeare, nonetheless, who for some reason is revered because he made up his own bizarre, twisted version of the English language. If someone made up a language today, you wouldn't be cherished for centuries, you'd be put in an asylum. But whatever, I went along with it, and the only other problem was that aside from the 2 8th graders in the show that had already established themselves as vital parts of the department, I was the only middle schooler in the show. Most of the experience of Much Ado is kind of a blur, simply because I'm pretty sure I just sat and stared at a wall for a while. But what I do remember was thinking that the director was fun and casual, and certainly not like any of the other teachers I had had at this school. I mean, I remember one time he used to swear in front of us. A teacher swearing. It was crazy. So I knew I wanted to work with him again if I could. But other than that, I spent most of the show in confusion, trying to understand why someone had just said, "Well, you are a rare para-teacher," and grabbed their boogie board to catch a wave. However, Much Ado made me realize that even in the things that you love, there is always more than one face to something, even if you don't like it. And even if at first it seems like that face is total gibberish, as you grow, you'll soon realize that knowing every angle of your passion will help you in the long run. Mr. Sicking himself taught me that, years later, and to this day he continues to teach me things and blow my mind in ways that I never thought possible. I didn't know it then, but Mr. Sicking would eventually become one of, if not the greatest teacher, mentor, inspiration, and role model of my high school and middle school career. And I will forever be grateful for what he has shown me these past 5 years. Later that year, I auditioned for The Good Doctor, a series of small plays within a play that had been split up into the varsity cast and junior varsity cast, older students and younger students, which meant more middle schoolers. Finally, I could be in another show with people my age. The only catch was, This show was being directed by the new theater department teacher, a one Joel Morello. Now, let me preface this by saying that Mr. Morello and I are total buds now. I mean, he doesn't scare me anymore, at least not most of the time. But this wasn't the first time I had encountered him. I had his Theater 1 class the previous year in 6th grade, but seeing him direct was something else. Now, of course, back then I thought he was doing something wrong. What with my being the wise, experienced artist that I was, a young Daniel Day-Lewis, if you can imagine, who was he to tell me that I had to be quiet in rehearsal, or he stopped running around and screaming? But the truth was that I had never actually experienced a show this intense for people my age. Not that Mr. Sicking didn't call people on their BS, but I was already so confused and intimidated in that show, he didn't have to. Mr. Morello was up to his neck in annoying snobs like me every day. So looking back, I don't blame him for the way he acted. I mean, I probably would have strangled a few people. But as he would say, his emphaticness set me straight, and from then on, I didn't ever want to be the kid that got in trouble with the fire-breathing director of the ACMA theater department, or get in trouble with anyone for that matter. So, we wrapped on The Good Doctor, and that's when things really started to snowball. The next fall, I was in ACMA's first ever musical, The Apple Tree. And now by this point, I had gotten used to the fact that ACMA does freak shows that no one's ever heard of. And following that, I was cast in Goodnight Moon at Northwest Children's Theater. I then proceeded to take Theater 2, then acting, and by the end of middle school, I was in the highest theater class at ACMA, Theater Ensemble. I had performed on the main stage 3 times already, as well as outside of school in professional theater. And now this is where you get to roll your eyes at how annoying of a theater kid I sound. Now, I don't mean to bash on the theater kids out there, but by the middle of my freshman year, I had really begun to notice that, frankly, all this theater was getting annoying. Even in something that you love, overload is possible. And you need breaks sometimes to really take on and grow in other fields. I had attended Columbia Gorge School of Theater, a theater arts camp, every summer since I started at ACMA. I had done plenty of other shows during the same time as my theater in middle school, and before these thoughts of a potential break began to bloom, I was cast in my biggest role to date. That fall, I would be performing as the Mad Hatter in ACMA's production of Alice in Wonderland. That summer spurred into autumn, spurred into winter so fast that I couldn't even keep track, and I couldn't pay attention to all the theater I continued to pile on. Word had spread that we were getting a new performing arts center, somewhere that wasn't actually a cafeteria, so the department would be going full out on the show, tearing apart the old wooden stage in ACMA's biggest production to date. And I was going to be a lead, but it wasn't the stage time or the pages of words I was going to have to memorize. You can steal the word with one, or you can steal the show with one word. In fact, some of the best roles I've had have been ensemble roles. But on a more personal level, I felt entrusted at such a young age to take on such an extensive role. Regardless if the Mad Hatter had 1 line or 500, the character itself was a large responsibility for that show, and that's what made me excited. So that's why, without a second thought, I signed on for 4 more months of gruesome rehearsal with no break in sight. I made a lot of great memories in Alice in Wonderland, and maybe most importantly, I became friends with my now best friend and fellow freshman at the time, Zoe Sherman. But even the fortune of that show couldn't stop the hurdle that became my second semester. First of all, at the ending of Alice in Wonderland, sudden cold realizations of the world of theater began to hit me like a punch in the face. Northwest Children's Theater, the place that gave me my first big break in an outside theater, as I soon realized had turned into a pyramid scheme, promising you chances at roles when they had already pre-cast those roles out of the same pool of 10 people that they cast all their shows. Related to that, I discovered that drama people are, oddly enough, very dramatic. Fueling the department with unnecessary gossip and commotion, theater stopped being fun for me. When you surround yourself with something for so long and so consistently, you really start to get sick of it, which in turn affects your grades. So, if your motivation to do well and succeed stops being motivating, what's the point of doing anything else? Schoolwork. Exactly the same problem I had back in 6th grade when all I could focus on was social life. Now Theater 2 had become too overwhelming, and I found, for the time being, an ultimatum. I could continue to give into the world of backstabbing and overbearing dramatic roller coasters, or I could take a step back, get some fresh air, and try something new. It's very important to get out and explore. It's like when you eat nothing but pasta for days, which, believe me, I have done. I mean, pasta's fantastic, but after a while it starts to lose its flair, and without modesty, it just becomes fattening wet tubes of grain. So what else was out there that I could indulge myself in, that could help change things up and, give me something new? What could turn my boring, been there, done that pasta of art intake into a fresh new meal again? The answer, as it turns out, was filmmaking. I had taken Film 1 and Film 2 in middle school, and in 9th grade I was signed up for the highest class, Film Seminar. But before that class was mainly just another fun elective for me to take, so I wouldn't have to take real classes, right? But the first thing that I noticed when I signed up for Film Seminar was the new program teacher, Mr. Bennett. Mr. Bennett, through the course of the classes I have taken with him, has taught me so many new things, not only pertaining to film, but to living as a thoughtful, contributing member of society, and also as a good person. From the moment I heard him first speak to our class, he began to transform the way I looked at myself and at the world around me. Not only as a person, but as a filmmaker. Through my newfound passion, I was able to express myself in a different way and explore things outside of the boring box I had built around myself. Telling stories through a lens was so much more satisfying than the annoying chore that performing on stage had become. So, in short, film became the parmesan to my pasta. So, the spring of my freshman year, instead of doing the school musical, Celebration, I instead decided to focus on the new upcoming film festival, the Youth Silent Film Festival. A contest founded that year that would let filmmakers from all over Portland submit their work and compete for a prize. The trick was that the films had to be completely silent, with the exception of one of 7 pipe organ tracks that you could choose to accompany your piece, provided by one Nathan Avakian, who, what do you know, happened to be a senior at ACMA that year. Once you had submitted your work, the top 30 films would be sent down to Hollywood, California, and judged by a panel of celebrity jurists to find the first, second, and third best films of the entire competition. Needless to say, it was exciting. So I spent my second semester working on this film entitled The Remote. I hope you enjoy it. ACMA, when they announced the top 30 contenders, I was ecstatic to see my movie on the list. And not only that, but about a month later, when they had the awards ceremony, I got to go up on stage with the writers and producers of the X-Men movies and the Transformer movies and accept my award for third place with a $250 cash prize. And that was when I knew that... Not yet! And that was when I knew my fate. I was going to be a filmmaker. I mean, I was good at it. I was winning awards, and I had basically overdosed on theater. I mean, who needs it anyway? So my life went from completely focused on one thing to completely focused on another. But what I soon realized is that when you do something for so long, it becomes a part of you. I had soon realized that I couldn't live completely without theater. I mean, I missed it, and even as much as it had annoyed me. So how do I find a balance? Where's that even middle, and how do I get there? Because I can't give all my time and energy to one thing and have room for the other. Or can I?
Oh, hey honey, it's gonna rain today, so maybe make sure you grab a jacket before we leave.
Don't worry. The sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow.
I don't know, man, she's just so dramatic.
Well, I know she does shows around town.
Well, I know too, but that's not it. I mean, it's just everything, all of the time. It has to be cartoony. Hey, are you ready to go?
We already talked about this, Hogan. And I am telling you, I'm not going.
You know, I heard Christian Chenoweth was gonna be there.
Ready to go?
Yeah.
Oh, only if you promise me that I can try something.
What's that?
Well, I thought about it, and I think I'll try defying gravity. I think I'll try defying gravity.
Well, so she's a bit eccentric. So what? Don't you love her?
Of course I love her. I mean, and I know she's eccentric. That's what made me love her in the first place, but I don't know. I mean, the charm just kind of wore off, and now she's getting more annoying by the day.
So, a deer, a female deer, Ray, a drop of golden sun, me, a name I call myself, fall a long, long way to run, so a needle pulling thread, la, a note to follow, so D, I drink with jam and bread, that will bring us back to dough, a deer, a female.
Stop! I mean, it's getting to the point where I can't do anything with her anymore without it somehow resulting in a show tune.
Have you tried just talking to her about
Of
this?
course I have. I mean, how do you think that ended up, though?
Okay. Can we just talk for a second?
Yeah, sure. Did you get your tickets for Rent?
No, not yet. I'm still working on those. You know, I'm just wondering, because yeah, I love musicals and theater and Shakespeare as much as the next guy.
Alas, poor Yorick. I knew him well, Horatio.
No, right, yeah, no, I know. But I'm just wondering if we could, like, turn it down just a little bit, because, yeah, I mean, we don't need to focus on all those crazy plays and stuff. I mean, we have each other, and I think we should focus on this, because I really think we do have something special here.
You know what? You're right.
Yeah, see, I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean...
Because this could be the start.
The start...
At something new.
Right.
Because this could be the start at something new. It feels so right to be here with you.
So what are you going to do?
So, for that reason, I think we should stop seeing each other.
You mean we can't be together?
Yeah, I guess so.
You mean we're like Romeo and Juliet? Trapped in a forbidden romance, doomed to forever be apart!
Well, it's mainly that I just don't like you.
And that farewell kiss, which resembles greeting, blooms into the glance of love, which doth resembles the sharpest pang of sorrow.
No, this isn't a Shakespeare thing. I really do think that
Oh, happy dagger, this is thy sheath of rust, and let me die!
No, wait, okay, just, stay here, okay?
How long will you be?
A few minutes, okay? Just wait here.
Wait, how many minutes? Is it 525,000?
So you just left her there?
Well, what else was I supposed to do?
Well, okay. So you got rid of her. What now? Back to bachelor life?
Well, actually, I met someone later that day.
And how did things go with them?
Whoa. That was something else.
Anytime, man, anytime.
I mean, you were just...
Yep.
And I was...
Yeah, I know.
And then at the end...
Uh-huh.
Well, I'll call you sometime.
Sure. See you around, kiddo.
Wow. That's pretty intense.
Yeah, I mean, I know it was sudden, but... I don't know, we immediately had this connection, you know?
But I mean, it's a pretty drastic change from before. Have you heard from her at all?
Actually, she did call me the other day.
Hi, you've reached Hogan. I'm not here right now, so please leave a message. Thanks.
On my own, pretending he's beside me. Call me.
Well, that's very convincing.
I mean, yeah, it's annoying, but... I don't know, I think I miss her.
You literally just broke up with her.
Well, I know, and even through all the obnoxious singing and dancing, though, we've been through a lot together.
But what about this new guy?
Well, see, that's the problem. I mean, I just have to find the in-between, you know? I just have to think.
Anyway, and after that, he kills the girl and he throws her down a well. So, I was wondering where to go from there at first. Like, I thought, do I want to go a bit more extreme with it? Like, kind of Lars von Trier's-y, like, really kind of cute and, like, America's dearest little sweetheart and all that, but she gets killed and all that. So, she would get thrown down the well.
Hold on 1 second. Sorry to interrupt, but, as much as I love all of this, do you think there's any way that we could be, like, friends?
Friends?
Yeah, friends. Like, Han Solo and Chewbacca.
Like Spock and Kirk.
Right.
Like Thelma and Louise.
Yeah, kinda.
Like Frodo and Sam.
I guess.
Like Timon and Pumbaa. Oh my god, that's brilliant! Like Timon and Pumbaa. Yes, you're Timon, I'm Pumbaa. It'd be like Lion King meets Melancholia, Lars von Trier, graphic sex scenes, mass hysteria.
And what about with her?
My love, you have returned. Oh, fragile day, Kaluk.
No, I'm not here for that. Okay, look, I know maybe we get sick of each other a lot when we hang out so much, and maybe that feeling's one-sided, but just because we're not in a relationship doesn't mean we can't be friends.
Friends?
Yeah, friends. Like Alice and the Mad Hatter.
Like Alinta and Elphaba.
Yeah, I guess.
And like Peter.
No. Friends.
Friends.
Well, so everything worked out after all.
Yeah, I guess so.
And everything's back to normal?
Yeah, for the most part, but better.
So then, the next question is, what are you gonna do about that one guy you met? What was his name? Capstone.
Oh god, don't even get me started on that douchebag.
So that was the problem, and here was my opportunity to change it. If I'm completely devoting myself to one thing for so long, and not even paying attention to any of the other parts of me, I was doomed for the same dissatisfaction. Whether it was film or theater or even my social life and frosting, we got this problem started back in the 6th grade. If I try and stack them on top of each other as well as juggle school, well, I had to find a better alternative. So my sophomore year I decided not to take film seminar, as hard as it was to sacrifice something that I loved to do for so long. It was ultimately a smart decision, and with the great new addition of the new class History of Motion Pictures, I was able to take class from Mr. Bennett and learn about film, but not have a workload that's too much for me to keep up with. If any of you haven't taken it, it's a great class and I really recommend it. Hold on, where was I? So my sophomore year, lighter workload was helpful because my sophomore year I was in both of the school plays. In the fall, I was in Little Shop of Horrors, and in the spring, I got my second lead role as Jay Gatsby in The Great Gatsby. Both plays were extremely positive experiences that I wouldn't trade for anything, and while I hadn't tried to split my focus 1,000 ways this year, the plays on top of the workload were still too much for me. And I realized this when I got a C in chemistry second semester. Again, not a bad grade, but it's definitely not a good one. And while, yes, I was extremely bad at math, which is what chemistry seemed to be second semester, I still knew I could do better. Even my my junior year, I did it differently again. I took a break from the year-long theater ensemble. I switched back into film seminar with TA periods, late arrival, and the new addition of period 2. I was only taking 5 classes either semester. And finally, I decided only to audition for the fall musical, Godspell, landing the role of Jesus and taking part in an amazing production that reminded me yet again of why I do what I love and why I love what I do. All of this newfound free time and much less time-consuming schedule would definitely help me get better grades, right? Wrong. I failed math second semester of my junior year. That's perfect. I don't know what I was doing wrong. I mean, what could I be doing wrong? I had so much time to work on it. I had specifically changed my life around so that I could focus on this one thing, and why do I suck at math so much anyway? It was time to move on to Plan C, which didn't actually exist. But I thought, you know what, if this is going to happen, then maybe I just need to stop trying so hard at everything. And now that doesn't mean I just lay back and coasted through, because obviously that wouldn't work either. But I had been struggling for so long to adapt to this new environment, and yet things would get so different with every year that passed. Maybe that was the problem. Maybe I was trying to adapt to the world around me, and yet focusing on doing that so much that by the time I had done so, it would be June and the start of a new, completely different year. Maybe instead of just adapting to my environment, I need to evolve with it, so that as one unit, my surroundings and I could move forward together. We are taught to view the past, the present, and the future as 3 separate places. But in actuality, we live in a fast-moving blur of action that requires us to use all 3 ideas to benefit us. This cycle can throw anything at us in the blink of an eye, and we need to use what has, is, and can happen to us together as a group to progress and jump over those hurdles and grab those opportunities. At the end of junior year, I moved my main efforts to return to the very thing that got me started at this school, the One Act Festival. With the help of Zoe and Genevieve Warner, we had brought the One Act back from a 2-year hiatus during my sophomore year. Bringing it back wasn't easy. We faced many a teacher and administrator challenging us with problems that threatened to stop us. But using what we knew would and could happen with the One Acts, They soon began to snowball so fast that it was hard to keep up. This year, I took on the role of executive producer of the One Act Festival, making it my capstone art component. Much like myself in my time at ACMA, the One Act struggled with setting itself as a legitimate part of the school and getting ingrained in the foundation. This amazing opportunity for young actors, playwrights, and directors to showcase their incredible, underappreciated work wasn't even here in 2009 and 10. When we brought it back in 2011, we had 9 people audition. This year we had 61. We gave the One Act life, and now it's stronger than ever, finally giving many artists here a chance for the recognition that they deserve. But it doesn't stop here. The One Act will continue to grow, but the school will also continue to grow, and the budget will continue to shrink for who knows how long. The only way projects like the One Act, or Dance West, or Art is My Voice survive at this school is with support and determination. So find what you love and don't back down when fighting for it, because if you roll with the punches and evolve to the challenges that are thrown at you, your voice will be heard. And it only takes one voice to make a change. For example, in our series of One Acts this year, entitled Chang's Dynasty, problems constantly present themselves over a course of a single day to threaten the everyday lives of the customers and owners of a local Chinese restaurant. I was going to show a scene from my One Act Food for Thought written by Josiah Boucher that I directed, but I don't think we have time. So I encourage you to come see it next week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 7. But in the scene, in the show, the food inspector pays a visit to the restaurant. And when things don't go according to plan, the owners, as in real life, must fight to survive. They eventually end up poisoning the food inspector and having to grind him up into pieces and put him in the food. All right, so many of you probably haven't had to grind up a food inspector, but I'm sure many of you have faced and/or will face something that threatens to shut down your goals. Some of you middle schoolers out there may have auditioned for the One Acts this year and didn't get in. Some people have tried to audition for programs at this school and not gotten in. Every year, hundreds of kids are rejected from even coming to this school. Everyone in this room will face rejection at some point in their life. But your success depends on if you're willing to look at the other face of that rejection, the face that helps you. It depends on if you're willing to evolve with your problems and with the other people that encounter to adapt to it and change it. It depends on a lot. And really, that outcome is up to you. Because as Charles Darwin so lovingly said, it is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It is the one that is most adaptable to change. Next year, I will be attending Marymount Manhattan College in New York City. Pursuing a degree in communication arts so that I can begin the foundation for a career in television and film, something that I explored with my capstone mentorship with Kathy Marshall at KGW News this past fall. Over 100 sixth graders will be attending this school for the first year. As we prepare to move to a completely different school, with completely different people, with a completely different subject of focus, studying something that we've never had experience in, things are bound to change. I will prepare to go through the same changes and adjustments I went through when I first came to ACMA, and they will go through those changes for the first time. But even at the same school, those changes will be different than the ones I encountered, than the ones the juniors encountered, than the ones any of you have encountered or will encounter in your lives. And as these sixth graders come here, you will have plenty more changes to go through as a school. But the catch is, it's not 2006 anymore. This is 2013. This is what music looks like in 2013. This is what movies are like in 2013. This is what television is like in 2013. This is a car, a phone, and the president, all in 2013. And this is a high school senior. He's preparing to move to a new house in a new neighborhood at a new school that will change his life. Because in 2013, as the senior leads this art school, so different than when he came here, younger generations will begin and continue similar journeys. And while those journeys may all end very differently, we will all evolve together. Thank you. coming. Thank you, Mr. Sicking, Mr. Morello, Mr. Bennett, all the teachers, Ms. Jeffrey, that have supported me. I want to thank Zoe for helping me. I want to thank my parents, my family, and thank you.